7. Learn to do good, seek justice, rebuke the oppressor, defend the fatherless, and plead for the widow. Exodus 22:22. You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. So God has a lot of instructions for us to take care of the widow and the children. And I think that the River of Life does a really good job of that.
Oh, I thought that was a mic in your hand.
Oh, pardon us as we get ourselves conditioned on here. So we'll just talk a little bit about what's going on the screen, if that's okay. This is when we were in when we did the outreach, the outdoor crusade. And this is the little square we were in. Now, this is in the Dandora slums. And Debbie and I, we shared that we were a little intimidated by this because it wasn't in a church and we had no pulpit and no Bibles or really anything.
And no smooth ground.
Right? And now we're going to move. See, that's what's going to be hard about this. Let me see if I can go back because well, there we go. Let's just let it roll. So that was before we actually got into full ministry, we had music, the musicians came and set up, and we were able to go out and grab hold of the children, and we didn't have to grab hold of them, they grabbed hold of us, and it was a wonderful experience. They came out. I don't know if you remember Debbie, I'm going to stop that one for a minute. Do you remember when Debbie was talking about when we were out there and we were supposed to be done before dusk? And the men that drove us and had all the keyboard and the speakers and everything, they had to wrap those up and take them back. So they left us to go do that, and it didn't take long for it to get dark. Well, this is the experience we had. I don't know if you can see, that's Debbie's head right there. I'm over here somewhere. But the children, it was dark. They gathered around. They were at least 3 or 4 deep, and they were just coddled all the way around us. This is just one little picture they were all the way around us. And while they were there, I thought, well, what are we going to do? And I looked at Debbie, and I just thought, I don't know, it was the Holy Spirit. I just thought, let's sing children-type songs. So I started with, what did I start with? Jesus Loves Me, I think. And they just sang right along with us. It was so beautiful. And then we did, I don't know if we even did This Little Light of Mine, but we just, anything that came up that was a Christian song, I just started to sing, and they just loved it.
And they knew them.
And they knew the songs. That was what, so, yes.
That was the fun part. They knew all the songs that we sang.
Yeah. This is Maddie here. So the 3 of us were sitting down, and the kids were all standing up and gathered around and grabbing hold of us and touching, they wanted to touch. And once they knew it was okay, that we were okay with that, you couldn't get them to stop, and they wanted to pet your hair because, our hair is different than theirs. But look at those lovely, beautiful, sweet faces. And River of Life, you touched these children. I want you to know that. And I have some information just to kind of to let you know how some of the needs, because I think sometimes if we don't know what the needs are, I'm not here to ask for money, so don't take that. But I'd like to present the idea of needs, because I really believe we as the River of Life, Pastor Dana and Pastor Doug have already said we're going to take Meddy and Thomas in. And this is really what Meddy and Thomas do. They take care of the orphans, the children, and the widows. And that is their heart of ministry. And before I forget, let me give you something that you can go on. I didn't want to bring that to you because it's over an hour and they've got multiple ones. But if you want to write down, if you have a pen, and those of you who are here, you can find videos on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, and it's listed, if you search One in My Hand. So that's one, the word O-N-E, in my hand, org. You don't have to put a dot, just org, O-R-G, and then put Kenya. You will get, and if you want to look for ours specific, they did one with just for me and Debbie. It's Debbie and Beth's Mission to Kenya. So that's over an hour. So if you just really want to get into some of it's movie, video, and some of it's still shot, and it's got music in the background, and it's just kind of neat. The only thing that does not cover is the widow's home. When we went out to the village, the cameramen didn't come there. They did everything else at the church and at the outreach and everything else. But they also have one. If you go to that same site, you will find other ones that are about building the widow's home, so you can watch that. This is just a picture of typical roads and streets. I know you can't probably see them real well, but they're dirt and they're rough. And if it rains, they get really muddy. But this is average, and the children are out just like everybody else. I'm going to hand this to Debbie, and I'll move on. See what happens.
One of the things that I wanted to share when Beth said that, this is what Thomas and Meddy are doing out. Thomas and Meddy don't do ministry in the good parts of town. They don't do ministry for the wealthy. They don't do ministry for even the middle class. The widows and the children that they are helping are in desperate need. The least of them all, and that is one of the things that honors. I believe that honors God. There's no financial reward for Meddy and Thomas for the people they serve. They simply serve because they love God, and both of their mothers are widows, and so they saw their mothers' lives change. When the father, the head of the house, is gone, their culture is a little bit different, and women just have no value there. So the least of the least are really rejected. So that's what I want you to know from that part. Go ahead. So we had the dance team did these dresses 2 Christmases ago, and when Meddy saw it on the website, that's all she talked about. She wanted one of those dresses. Now, we dressed to look African, but she wanted an American to bring her an African dress, which we thought was funny. So we bought Meddy her dress, and we all dressed alike for the crusade, and Meddy got all kinds of compliments, and everybody wanted to know where she got her dress. This is at the school in Dandora, and I just have to share. Actually, this is Coragosha, and this is where we went to feed the children, and this trailer that you're looking at is their classroom, and it's almost like a train trailer, like a trailer off of a train. But do y'all see the paint job on this? Does that not look like the river logo? We got the green, the white. It's almost like God had already set us together. I noticed it when we were in Kenya. I was like, that's kind of puts us together. This is Thomas, and that is Adolphus' son. And all that's in these classrooms are like wooden benches and chalkboards on the wall. So they're not real fancy classrooms. Even that, there's broken windows. Yeah. The broken windows, and they do with what they have. All right. This is where the children go to the restroom. It is literally out in the open. And it's right in the middle of where they play, where they go to school. It's like the houses are built around it, and it's like this little cubby hole, and they urinate on this side, and then there's like a ditch, and on the other side there's a grassy kind of area. It's almost like it's there. That's the other side of it. So this is where the children go. That urinal was just like in front and to the side of this area. Now, I think it's good that we see this, because this is what they are hoping to deem for another classroom. They just need to have funds to build it and to put a floor in it and put
more desks in it. But that gives you, I mean, doesn't that make it more real when you actually can see pictures of what they're day-to-day living in? And that's their dream, is that this would become another classroom, because they have 200 and, I think I have it here, 248 children, and that keeps growing because they try to feed them. And they don't always have enough food to feed them. So that's another issue. Let me talk to you about that for a minute. So Peter and Maureen are the names of the directors. We will see Peter later. I'll try to point him out. We did say that all of the teachers and the administrators work at the school volunteer. They volunteer, and they don't have a lot. So to us, the culture of how they care for one another really affected Debbie and I a lot, because, you know, even though they don't have much, what they have, they'll give to each other. They will share that. So just so you get an idea, there's 200, at this time when we visited, there were 248 children. And just to give you some ideas, food for 5 children for one day, 5 children, $1 a day would feed 5 children. That's incredible. You know, and I meant to do the math on that. I was going to figure out how much would it take if you took, somebody do that for me, if you got 248 divided by 5, 248 divided by 5.
$50.
I'm thinking, yeah, I think so. Is it about 50? Did somebody actually get it? Okay, we're going to let you know, because I think it's important that we know it. Wow, $49.60 would feed these children, all 248, for one full day and supply their school needs. That's amazing to me. They have 9 teachers and 1 cook, 2 administrators, and we also ask, and I tried to verify it with Medi, but she's asleep right now, so she probably didn't get my text. I didn't really think of that. But $100, I can't remember. I was thinking it was per year for each of those teachers. So that would be what, $1,100 for a year to supply to keep the teachers on staff. And part of the reason that is because they're volunteer, and if they have an opportunity where they're going to get paid, they'll leave. And that devastates children. You know, children like stability, and they get attached to the teachers, and the teachers are loving and, you know, volunteering, so you know they have to have a heart for the kids. So that's just to give you some ideas of what, you know, their life is like.
I was just thinking, was the $100, was it $100 a month that would pay all the teachers and 2, so it was 7 teachers and 2 staff members, I think, and it was $100 a month would cover their salary. So, I mean, it was something very, very minimal. This is another room that they're hoping to redeem. This is the kind of chalkboard that's on it. So they are wanting to replace the roof in this one. Let's see. So this is the classroom that all these children were crammed into when we came to feed them. I mean, they are crammed into this room, and they waited a really long time for us. Children, yeah. All ages, all ages. And the way that they care for each other at the outreach, when we did the outreach on the streets, you would see like 6 and 7-year-olds packing around 9-month-old babies on them. They had them in little slings, and they were just taking them all around like they were their own child. And you're thinking, where are the parents? And they're just taking care of each other on the streets. This is Thomas, and this is Peter. Peter. He's the one that runs the school. Him and another woman. I don't remember her name. Do you? She. This is the cook. This stove. This is like a charcoal stove. So it's hot. It's in a little corner, and they cook on these big, huge pans on this little fire. So this is everything they fed all of those children in that room with. Yeah. And she is the only cook.
And she's sitting on a little stool about that big. It's amazing.
This is Medi's favorite grocery store. This is where she does all of her shopping. When we send money over and they take porridge and lentils and maize to the school, this is where Medi buys all of her products. And we pray blessings over this store owner because there's been times when Medi and her family have been in need, and the store owner has allowed her to buy on credit and to come back. So he's been a really good man to them, to their ministry. And so we just speak blessings over this little store. Yep.
Now, Debbie, you might have to help me with this. Who funded the beans and rice that we bought here and took to the slum? Was that the River of Life ministry? Yeah. I wanted to make sure. So we stopped at the store before we went to the slum where you saw the children, and we were able to buy 3 bags. There was rice, there was 2 different kind of beans, and we took it to the school. So they had already had their food. That'll be extra. So they'll get some more good meals to fill up their tummies because of the River of Life. Again, we're bringing life into the places that are needed.
All righty. Oh, this was out at the dedication of the River Community Center that River of Life did. Babies were terrified of me. Like, I tried so hard to be kind, but that baby started out on the middle of his mama's back. And when I put my arm, that baby couldn't scoot over fast enough, poor thing. And this lady's name here is Dorca. And this bracelet, this black and white and red bracelet on her hand, she gave to me as a gift before I left. And, you know, when someone gives you a gift from their culture, you know that there's been that connection. And we danced and we laughed outside under the tent, and she was just friendly, and I loved on her, and it was just a great day. And before we left, she gave me that bracelet, so that was real sweet. Her name was Dorca. Bless Dorca today, Father.
You recognize anybody in that? There's Tony. I wanted you to see, look how whoops, I'm sorry, I forget I need this. Look how, this is Tony Flagg here as he came and was a part, but I wanted you to see, it was standing room only. There was a whole bunch of seats and tent-like areas out in front of the community center, but look at how the Messiah people, they came dressed in their tribal clothing, and it was a big deal for this community. It changed that community. What the River of Life Community Center has done is really changed not only lives, but changed the whole community. And I just wanted you to see how packed out it was. I mean, people walked for miles and miles and miles to get there. And they stayed all day and had to walk miles and miles and miles to get back home. But I just thought you would enjoy seeing the crowd there. And like I said, there was at least that many more outside of the building. Oh, this is just our flight coming into Nigeria. Not Nigeria. Maybe that's where we're going next. Nairobi, sorry. These are just the flags that I made for the church there, and I'm so excited to know how God's going to use that. We've already had a couple testimonies about how God's been moving. We heard from Medi that I think it was 2 Sundays after we were there, one of the gentlemen in the church asked her if he could use a gold flag, and he took the gold flag and was dancing with it. And while he was dancing, he was praying in his heavenly language. He was speaking in tongues. And afterwards, Thomas was leading praise and worship. I guess they talked about it, and the man said that he had never prayed in the Holy Ghost before. And he was holding that gold flag, and he told Medi and Thomas, the guests that you brought here were, I have it in writing somewhere, they were truly here sent by God. And I just, the Lord gave a prophetic word that Meddy and Thomas would be a big part of sending out praise and worship throughout all of Africa. And I think you remember me saying I saw the hand throw the stone and the waves go. So I'm excited to see all that God will do there.
All right, we're back to Ida's house. This is when it was finished. And I hope to point out on the other one, I don't believe that her other home has a front door. So that's one of the things that the difference is when Thomas and Meddy come in and build a house, they provide safety. Not all the widows have windows and not all the widows have doors. So that is something that is part of what Meddy and Thomas are doing, is that they have doors on their house. Eunice, the one that we adopted to build her house, she told Thomas it's the first time in her life she's ever had a door with a padlock. So, we're helping a widow who's all alone feel safe, and that just blesses me. Oh, this is where Beth and I slept to stay out of the bugs. We slept under a net.
Debbie's in there, really.
Oh, I was in that bed.
She's actually in there.
I was out.
That's just funny.
All right. So this is the road that we were driving to on the way to the village, to the widow's house. And that's one of the things that we don't think about when they're going to build these widows' houses, is getting the supplies to the actual house. So we were able to drive so far, and then we had to get out and continue to walk up the hill. So we parked the car somewhere back down in here and walked up. So Ida is doing dishes. They prepared meals for the men who were working on the house. And that position that she was in, you see them, my back hurts just watching how much they labor that way. They wash their dishes that way. They wash their laundry that way. They are in that bent over position often. So this is the beginning of what the house looks like. They actually mill the wood and the bamboo themselves. They use a machete and a stick, and they whack it and they mill it down. And so all of this is done by the men here. This thing that Beth is pointing to right here, it kind of looks like it's got 3 legs and it's a teepee, but it was a ladder. That's a homemade ladder. So they build their equipment and they build the house, and it's all done out of local whatever's in the environment that they're in. These are the workers who do it. You'll notice they're barefooted. That's Ida again. Just a beautiful woman. So if you see again, they're up there on their bare feet in this wood, and you can. It's just OSHA would shut them down for sure. It would not be allowed.
I'm just going to interrupt a little bit here. I wanted to just say, here's another issue. All of those men that are working on the house that you see, I wondered how they gathered them together. They're all volunteers from the community. And they come out when they find out that there's going to be a widow's home built. They come out, that one picture that was a young guy, and he showed up, barefoot and all, and gave his abilities and his muscle and his time and his effort to build somebody else a home and make supply for her. And I think I wrote their names down just because if anybody would like to take notes, did I put that somewhere? I thought I put their names somewhere. It might be on a different piece of paper that's in my, here it is. So the volunteers that we met were Kennedy, Felix, Charles, and Astone. Those, all of them, and Felix is the barefoot guy on the roof. I just thought I wanted to speak their names out while we're here, just so we can rally around that and the heart and the spirit that they have for the community. I'll let you, this is your favorite.
Yeah, you just can't help but love these widows. This is Eunice. We didn't get to build her house that day, but they went back and did it. And her home is very difficult to get to. So her home actually cost a little bit more than the average widow's home does because of where she lived. They had to rent vehicles to get everything back to her, and it was a long trek. It was far back to her house. And if you noticed in that photo, her feet are crippled. So what she does for this time is for income is she makes charcoal. So she however they do it with the wood and that, and then she walks all the way back into the village to sell it. And I mean, I don't know how she's able to do it. So we are actually going to be buying her some chickens. I talked to Thomas this week, and for $50 you can buy 2 chickens and a rooster. And this will provide food for her. It will provide income for her. But I started questioning, and I thought, so I asked Thomas, I said, well, do we need to build a chicken coop? Do we need laying boxes? Does she need grain for the chicken? And he laughed. He said, no, the chickens will just stay at her house. He said, they'll stay inside with her. He said, actually, a lot of the widows, the chickens become their companions. And I said, but won't they run off? He said, no. He said, you just tie them together for 3 days, and after 3 days, they know it's their home, and then they'll stay. So, yeah, because I was like, we got to keep the chickens safe and all that. So, and I hope to continue to financially support her just monthly on food, and honestly, I hope that the Lord blesses me with an opportunity to go back and to see her again, so he's got to give her long life and give me money. This is Thomas and Meddy's children. And we never think about this, but for Thomas and Meddy's children, our trip there was life-changing for them too. They had never been in a vehicle to drive around Nairobi. They had never been in a vehicle driving around the city. They walk everywhere they go. They stay in their neighborhoods, and usually if they have to travel somewhere, it's, one of the adults. So they had never gotten to travel like that before. They had never been on a safari before. We got to take them on a safari. We included them on everything that we did. And the only thing they didn't get to do is they didn't get to go to the village with us, and they didn't get to fly on an airplane. But they got a lot of first-time experiences, and Beth took them Pop Rocks. So they got to experience Pop Rocks too, the little candy that explodes in your mouth. So that was a lot of fun.
Thomas liked those too.
Yeah, Thomas liked those too. This is Thomas and Austin. Austin was our driver, and he is a youth pastor. He's a professional dancer. He's a professional driver. And he is hysterical. He should be a professional comedian, but we just love him and his family. He has 2 little girls, and just godly men. Just godly men who love their children, love their wives. Me and Meddy and Beth, we were in we were in the city of Nairobi. We were at the mall to exchange money. And going to the mall and doing anything at the mall was the first time for Meddy and Thomas too. Like they're like, we've never eaten here, They knew where it was, but it's not a place they shop. So it was a lot of experience for them. And again, the baby's in the back of the car with us. That's Adolphus. Adolphus Praise, Tiffany Promise, and Amazing Grace. There's Pastor Doug at the River of Life.
You can see the River of Life sign here, and we didn't get to see it go, but apparently it's like a waterfall behind there. They had it shut off at the time they were ministering, and I know you can't really see it back here, but here's all the dedication, to Lee and Brian Pace up in here. And Doug was on fire that day. He preached.
Let's see. Carol and Beth, the grand opening. That's the outside of the building. You're looking in. Maddie and Beth. So
I'll let you talk about the boys.
This is the reason I included this is because we talked about them last week. These are the two boys that hung out the whole time we were there at the community center. These two little boys, every time I turned around, they were just there. And they weren't like staring at us, but they wanted to be close to us. And if you remember the one boy that we were talking to, this is, now all of a sudden I forgot his name. Thomas? No, Caleb's the other one. This is Calvin, right? Calvin. Hang on, I've got it here because I didn't want to mess up. Joseph, yes. So this is Joseph, and he's the one you can't really tell in this picture, but he's the one that we prayed for his eyes. So I wanted you to have a picture of him so you could keep him in your prayers. And we prayed believing totally that his eyes would be healed. And he said since he was a little, I don't know, from the time he can remember, his eyes hurt. And they looked almost swollen in a way. And I don't know, Debbie, did you think they looked red? They almost seemed a little more, almost like a cataract was over him, but it wasn't. So keep him in your prayers. And he was such a sweet young boy. So
Just wanted socks.
yeah, all he really wanted was socks. And Debbie and I couldn't wait to dig deep enough in our pockets to give him some money for socks. All right. Anybody have an idea what that is? That was our normal bathroom experience. So we don't have to say a lot, but it was definitely not what we were used to. Okay.
This was one of the nicer ones.
Yes, that one was fairly clean and fairly nice. But you can tell there's no paper. Half the time we went in, there's no paper, not toilet paper, not paper for your hands, no soap, no water. It's just the hole in the ground. Okay, that's another one in the classroom. Let's see. Oh, sorry, Debbie.
That's all right.
I kind of went too fast there.
So most of their buildings are
There you
made
go.
out of like the rock and the concrete, and this
the buildings are made, the floors are like a rock and a concrete type of thing. But this is the majority of how indoor floors look. I mean, even when Beth and I danced at the church, at Thomas and Meddy's church, the floor was not even. And so just the conditions of the insides of the building, sometimes we just don't realize how blessed we are and how many things that we take for granted, simply like a level floor to walk on.
going the wrong way.
Hang on, sorry. Oh, I think I am.
This is the streets of Nairobi. And this is what it looks like all the time. There is people moving about all the time. One morning I sent Meddy a picture of a sunrise in my neighborhood, and it was like at 4:30 in the morning. And she said, "Where's all the people?" I said, "Well, Meddy, it's 4 a.m. They're still sleeping." And she's like, "Nairobi doesn't sleep." And then when you get and you see their neighborhoods and how many people they are, and their whole lives are lived out on the streets, because it's not like they have homes, with the comforts and everything. So everybody lives their lives out in the street. So it's definitely a different culture. My Miss Tiffany, Meddy.
And see what she's got. How much.
The flags. These are the flags that Beth made for her. So
I just got to say, doesn't she look like one of us? She put that flag bag on her shoulder. She looked like she'd been wearing it for years, and she is ready to go.
Malika? This is the director, Milka. This is the director of a second school that we went to. Thomas and Meddy are very involved. They actually have 2 schools in the slums that they go and they feed the children. This school here goes all the way from like daycare to secondary school. So they have them up into the teenage girls, and there's a lot of support that goes on. And I think 320 at her school.
So this lady, I'm going to speed up here a little bit. So there's 320 people. This is in Dandora where we did the outreach as well. And this woman's name is Milka. She's the director. There are 15 teachers. It goes to 13 years old. They provide 2 meals a day, porridge in the morning and beans and rice midday, and they have a daycare with 45 children. And this, I've got to show you this lady because we've talked about her. I wish she'd go, maybe get her head in there. Can't quite get her. This is Matilda. She's the one I prayed for her knees and found out she only had 1 leg. So believe with me, I'm still believing. I'm not letting go of that because I know I heard the Holy Ghost in that one. So I'm believing that. This is just some of the food we were served. This is like...
These are really good.
They're really good. I don't remember what they're called. Do you?
Tortilla.
Sound like a tortilla. That might be about it. I know we're almost close to ending time. There's Debbie and I working. This is the gentleman that fell off the roof. Remember, I brought him to our attention. There they are on the roof barefoot. That's Felix there. There's me after putting my hands in the mud. We got down and dirty. So, yeah. And there's the water.
Those are coming.
When these donkeys started coming up the hill, Thomas yells, the camels are coming. And this is something you don't think about. I mean, when they build the house, they dig up the ground there, and that's where the dirt comes from. And African mud, it's available. But the water, they've got to haul in from the nearest well. So these donkeys are each carrying 4 5-gallon buckets, and I think they came up twice while we were there. So, putting the roof on. And then we got to give her a goat. That was another awesome thing.
Thanks again, River.
Yep.
Is that Isaac?
Yeah.
He was just in the field working, and we stopped and prayed for him, and this is blessing the house. Prayer is real important in Africa. Everywhere that Thomas took us, like he would ask us, pray, speak a blessing over their house. When he took us I think this might be, no, that wasn't Eunice's house. No, it had to be Ida's house. No. But when we went into Thomas's mom's house, like he introduced us, but the very first thing he did was ask us to pray a blessing over her, which was just real interesting. It was such an honor to be a part of it. And this is the house was completed. We were done. It was a wonderful day. And it was all because of the women at the River of Life.
All right, I think our time is up. We can talk, us 2 women here, and we get so excited because it was so much. Did the pictures help kind of to really get you to feel like you understood? Last thing I'm going to bring up is just materials that are needed for the workers. Thomas they do their best with the little bit they have. But I asked Medi and Thomas to put a whole list of everything that they would need to really, like things that would protect them. You know, rubber boots to climb on. They use rubber ones to get on that roof. And wheelbarrows, saws, hose, post diggers, all that stuff they don't have. Just to give you an idea, I took it from their Kenyan shillings and converted it on a converter to US dollars for $433.33. It would supply every tool they need to keep them safe. Isn't that just mind-boggling? So with that, we hope you enjoyed our presentation tonight. I'm just excited about what the river is doing. We have so much in our hands, and to feed it out like the river that flows, you don't bank it up, you don't keep it stagnant, but you let that water flow. And the more the water flows, the more life that comes in, you know? So, and with rivers, guess what comes with rivers? Fish. So, you know, as the river flows, we're going to be able to see more fish come into the house. We are fishers and what are women? Fishermen and fisherwomen of fish. So God bless you tonight. Thank you for joining us again. We are so grateful to have you here. We are grateful, Apostle Shirley, for the work that you and Pastor Lee have started. And look, we're still here, still doing that work. And God is still awesome and wonderful. So God bless you tonight. Hope to see you next week. And before that, we hope to see you Sunday morning. Amen. Take care. God bless.
God bless. That was great. All right. Good job, Mama.
There's me after putting my hands in the mud. There's me after